Welcome back to the final episode of MiniGrinder Paint Reaper's Narthrax. That's right, this is the last episode of this series. Don't worry, there'll be more, so please subscribe and check that out. So I decided to go with a volcanic theme for this base. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If you take the time to stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how I made this base. No shortcuts. Every flamin' detail. So whether you're just a fan of the craft or a budding crafter yourself, join me as I base Reaper's Narthrax. So to the base this miniature, you're going to need a few ingredients. You're going to need a red dragon. Check. You're going to need a rock. I happen to have a very fine one right here that my son picked up for me on his way home from school. You're going to need a base. These particular bases you can buy at a craft store. You're going to have to sand them down though, they're kind of rough. You need some fast-acting hobby putty. Well, I like the fast-acting stuff. This stuff is great, actually. It hardens in about 5 to 10 minutes, so quick work time. You're going to want a piece of felt. Now, you can go to your local craft store and pick up a square yard of this stuff for less than $5. Since we're using a wooden base, we're going to need both some stain and some polyurethane. The first thing you're going to want to do is plane out your base. There we go. We got a nice looking base right there. Feels nice and sanded. Oh, just take your dragon there and throw them on, and yeah, done. But let's see how he stands on the base. You know how you want to orient him and whatnot. You know, you have options, about 360 of them. And I'm thinking about using this rock right around here. So you have like a little river of lava down in there. How do we make it happen? Fast acting hobby putty. I love this stuff. It pretty much bonds anything to anything. You need it. You can, of course, get it in limited supply from our sponsor, BigDwarfGames.com. Yeah, so I would just cut off like a little bit for like the base of a miniature, a small one. Well, for this, we're going to be using a whole bunch more. I think the first thing I want to do is I want to fix that rock to the base. So I just cut off an equal amount there. Right. And you just knead it between your fingers. And basically knead it together until the two colors mix. The two shades of gray mix. And it becomes one uniform shade of gray. Now you don't have much work time with this stuff because this is fast setting epoxy putty. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to smear it on this stuff will bond to anything. It bonds anything to anything. It's pretty ridiculous. So whether it's metal, miniatures, resin, plastic, bonesium, it doesn't matter. This stuff will bond it. I'm just pulling that stuff. Trying to cover as much of the base with it as possible. This stuff is already starting to get a little hard. So we got to get that rock on there. You know this stuff's getting ready to set when it gets hot. It's an exothermic reaction. Okay, let's get the... Now this I'm going to actually add a little later when at all possible, you want to do as much of the work without the miniature on there as possible. So right here is where I want this rock. Maybe a little bit out more. There we go. I'll bond this rock to that base just by pushing it in there like that. Okay, see, just sticking it to it is actually, I mean, look at that. It's pretty crazy. I love this stuff. Just trying to make a uniform seal here. It doesn't look like I just punched a bunch of stuff down in the putty. This stuff is already getting really hard. I'm going to get a rock for rocky texture. I'm running out of time here. I mean, nothing beats it, really. And this thing is in there now. So another thing I'm going to do before this sets, I'm basically going to go through and create and texturize this. I want to get rid of my fingerprints and stuff, basically. Although fingerprints are actually not a bad idea, because it's sort of like ripples in the lava flow or something. What do you think? Yeah, I don't got time for it. This stuff is already very hard. So I'm just rubbing it with this rock now. I'm basically trying to erase any aspect of being made by me with this rock. There we go. This is rock hard now. We're going to need some brush on primer. Probably quite a bit of it. Start priming the top. I'm going to prime the rock and everything, actually. If you make a mistake like that, get it off immediately. A lot of these mistakes can be sanded away also, so don't worry too much. So here it is, all finished, primed, and everything. So what's the next step? We gotta paint the lava. The lava and the rock. Actually, what I'm gonna do with the rocks is I'm actually not gonna do too much detailing other than a simple dry brush, some dark gray. I'd like to highlight the rocks with the glow of the lava also, if that's a possibility. So we will see as to that, though. Take that off. So what we have to do here is paint some lava on here. Now, this is actually going to be a little hard at first, so I'm going to get some sort of guidelines down. Alright, now with my number 6 dry brush, just going to start laying down some color here. It'll take a while to build up this color. It's good. It'll be good to let this sit and dry. Now I'm going to go grab some Phoenix Red. I'm not even cleaning the brush. That doesn't even matter. See, while the yellow's drying, I'm actually working on the Phoenix Red and vice versa, right? So this is the basic template for where I want the glow in the lava to be. This color is going to have to be very bright for it to be believable as lava. It's clearly not there yet, but it'll take time to build up to that also. Slowly but surely. Here we go. Now what we gotta do is paint a bunch of black on top of that lava. Now we're gonna start adding in the lava texture. And what I want to do is I want to build up a cracky kind of surface. I'm taking cues from the lava layer, for instance, wherever it's more orange, that's where I'm likely to put a piece of black lava rock. When I do this, I think about how it's flowing. As you can see, I want to create a sense of flow. I also think about where the rocks would get piled up. Bottlenecks like this. So before we add the glow, we're going to go ahead and add the texture to the rock. And this is just going to be a simple dry brushing of dark gray. I took a mix of stone gray and mixed that with some pure black just to get the right shade. Lightly loading my brush. No extra moisture is added to the paint because I want this to be grainy. I don't want it to be a smooth dry brush. And we're going to do the same thing with the base. Just a light dry brushing. With just enough paint on the brush to bring out those top layers. Not fill the bottom layers. So it'll help create depth. It won't just look like a mass of black. I might actually lighten it up and highlight also with some straight stone gray. Okay, so for the glow, I'm going to take a little bit of Phoenix Red. Lightly load the brush. I want this very dry, but well loaded. I know it's dark. I want this lit from underneath, so I'm going to dry brush from below. I only want to pick up the top layers. I don't want any of the cracks. Right? Now, it might actually take a couple applications. Yeah, it's looking kind of cool, actually. You see that has that glow to it. It looks like it's being lit from this. Nice. Kind of a highlight. Even lighter. I want it even lighter than that. There you go. Get some. Just doing a little bit of dry brushing. Quickly. People are hungry upstairs. As you can see here, I've dry brushed the lighted effect from the lava onto the rock surface. Just with Phoenix red and a little bit of highlight with sun yellow. Let me take this. Like so. Now we're just going to affix that to the base. I'm just going to take some more fast acting epoxy putty, rub it up, stick it in there, and then put it down there. Here we go. So here's the inside of it. I'm just going to take some, stuff it in there. Find a home for this guy. Oh, somewhere in that area would be great. Just rock it back and forth there until it's on. So now I'm just going around the base and lining it with some pure black at the seam. And wherever there seems to be, see how there's a big black splotch right there? Well, the light wouldn't be shining up from that black splotch, so we're just going to shadow those areas also. I'm just going to go around the outside and paint a ring of black. So I'm getting ready to stain. I chose a red oak. I couldn't find a good cherry color, but this is close to the color that I wanted to go with. So when you're staining, make sure that you read the directions. Some of them is like fast setting, others not so fast. This stuff is actually going to take 8 hours to set. I'm used to using some other stuff that sets in like an hour. So, well, that's the only difference. So when you apply your stain, I like to do it with a brush just because I want to have control over where that stuff goes. I'm using like a nylon brush, basically. Try to keep it as uniform as possible. This stuff goes on a lot thinner than what I'm used to working with. It does seem to saturate pretty well, though. Next, we're just going to want to wipe this off. Wipe off all the excess. There he is, and isn't he looking wonderful? There's only one thing left to do, and that is to apply a felt bottom to this base. Because it could look like that, or like this. We're just going to have to apply some glue to this, nice and uniformly, and then set it down here, on there. Let's go ahead and do that. I like this clear tacky glue. I don't apply it directly to the base. I actually like to thin it out. A little bit of water on this brush. I just like to thin this out so it goes on easier. Now for metal bases, I actually use super glue. It's important to go all the way up to the edge when you're applying the glue, because you do not want the felt to come free. Okay, with the glue applied, we're just going to drop this on this piece of felt. We're going to smooth out any ripples if there are any. There are none. There we go. Now, go ahead and just let that sit for a moment. Okay, so the best way to cut a piece of felt that fits the base is to already have it on the base. And careful you're not going to snip the sides too much. I got some craft scissors here. Just very carefully, right along the edge. Alright, you see how smooth that is? Oh, look at that. Oh, that's a nice felt bottom. A nice sea of blackness in the blackety black depths of Blackmoor. Lies this dragon. Let's crack open this polyurethane and finish this up. This is the last step. Give it a mix. I use an old brush for this. Just get a little bit on there. A nice even coat with a synthetic brush so you don't ruin it. Apply the polyurethane. This is going to make the base shine. I love the wood patterns on here. It really makes it look like flame, you know? It's perfect. I want to thank you for joining me on this, the final part of the Narthrax series. I must say that I am very happy with how it turned out. I really try my best to find a fine balance between display and utility. There's no reason you can't have both. I mean, what kind of crazy game master would put his players up against a red dragon every week? I mean, it's got to look nice when you're not using it. If you'd like to follow my craft, you can stop by my Facebook page or Google Plus page, MiniGrinder Studio. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, BigDwarfGames.com. If you liked it, then like it. If you care, please share. And if you got the vibe, subscribe. It truly motivates me.